the healthiest society is a society that is versatile. What we need to that passes through is the approach to caring. And it is something that we don't have to go too far. If we go to our basic Western values, our civilization, we understand that it is based on that. The desire, if you see someone in need, you help him. How many times in a train station do I see a pregnant woman and nobody stands to give her a seat? Where did we go wrong? We went wrong with the family. In Israel, when we go there, someone will not stand to a pregnant woman. Everybody will tell him, hello, kid, don't you see this lady is pregnant? Or an older lady. Stand up, offer her the seat. She doesn't want a seat, that's fine, but you still offer her that seat. This is where it starts, with little things like that. An older lady passing with bags. Pay attention. Do you need some help to carry the bags? No, you don't want money for it, for a tip for carrying. Just to do it, please. I want to give you something. And that will change the way we care for patients also. And that will change everything. But when we lie to ourselves, we say, oh, we're good because we posted something on Instagram that talks about someone else who talked about someone else who was in need. So we now feel we did our job. What is that?
Yeah.
You can do your job.
I love that. What is that? Welcome to the Dana Grant Show. Welcome back, I should say. And I have in the house today Dr. Eyal Levit, and he is a dermatologist by day. He's an author by night. He did write a book, and you know, The King's Race. I can't wait to find out why you wrote it, why the pivot, all the things that you've incorporated in. I mean, here you are. And let me first say, welcome to the show. We've had a great time, you know, visiting prior to the show starting. I love your energy. And I think people need to know from you on how you showed up in the world. What did you have a passion about being a dermatologist?
So many questions, and they themselves can take hours for us to discuss. But I think Hans Christian Andersen said it most beautifully, and we know his beautiful stories. Miserable life, but beautiful stories. Some people say that he was the illegitimate child of King Christian, the ninth, I think it is. But the thing he said was that the most beautiful story, and I may be paraphrasing it, is one's personal life. And I think there's nothing more fantastic and more unreal as the life that each of us lives. And it may sound boring to us, but to someone else, it's interesting. And the question is, how can we share the lessons that we have gleaned from our personal experience, from interacting with other people, with children, and bring it not as a lesson, but bring it as an adventure? And so getting onto an adventure with my own children is how this book, The Race to the Finish Line, right? And what is the finish line? Your dream. Is it, you know, people always hear about kingdoms and they lived happily ever after, right? So right away, when you have this kind of entries, once upon a time, you're used to this in our society. Okay, I harken back to memories of sitting either by the fireplace or laying in bed and mom reading to me a story once upon a time, and I feel cozy, I feel warm. Maybe there's rain or snow outside, but inside you feel whole, you're excited, you want to start beginning that adventure. And this child in us, if we can keep it alive and we can relieve that, it's such a marvelous thing. You know, when we spoke about how old, just before the show, how old we are, how old we feel, it's more important how we feel inside.
Yes.
And so we can connect to people on different levels, but now with our wisdom.
Right.
And so this is the idea was behind the story. And every story that I write, and I wrote multiple children's stories, some of them were based on my medical experience, but all of them, when I presented to my kids, were passed through animals. The character of the person will be an animal. And they loved it. Sometimes they thought I was actually a veterinarian and that I would have giraffe and gorilla and lions and parakeets coming to visit me.
I love that.
But I never got it down on paper. And so the way this story came about is that I was, I sign up because I have this desire to help. And they said, can you read something to us in the kindergarten class? And yeah, of course, I'll read something for you. Not a problem. Reading time. Every parent has the opportunity to do that. And I went to my sons, and my other kids are older, to their library and tried to look for books. And I just couldn't find anything that spoke to me.
Mm,
Something that would really evoke the warm, funny, happy feelings, and at the same time be not simple education, but mature educational
right.
on different levels. The way I believe children have to be treated, they have to be approached to as adults, not treated as adults, more gently, but you have to, if you expect from them less, they'll give you less. So I believe in sharing with them whatever we experience. And that's how my parents were with me. We lived in Nigeria, in Africa, and they went through coups, 7 coups during a short period of time there, where the government would change. Their life was, at a hair thread on a balance. And they
Right.
shared everything with me, all the difficulties, and advised me. Did they really need my advice? They didn't need my advice when I was 6, 7, 9, 10 years old, but they still shared it with me, and I felt like they needed my advice. So I learned from them that when you open up and share it with the kids, they will grow this way. And so I couldn't find anything that spoke to me. And I decided that I'm going to sit down and write a story. And I was writing till 4 in the morning. Then I went ahead, took a 2 hour nap, and went and got ready to tell them the story. And when I saw the response and their laughter and the big smiles, and they want to hear more, and their kindergarten teachers and aides were like, their mouth open up, looking, listening, and like, we gotta invite you to read the rest. We didn't have enough time. Oh, I wish we had more time. So,
I have to write the rest. I have to
right, right,
write the
right,
rest.
right. So I said to myself, okay, this gotta be completed. And so I sat down, I completed it, and then the rest we'll see on November 2nd, God willing, when the publication time will come. And I'll have to tap your brain for some advice.
There we go. There we go. So you go and you do that. Did you know that you were a writer? Did you that creativity, curiosity when you did that, you leaned in and you didn't see a book you wanted to read, so you sat down and wrote it. Did you know that you could write? Did you know that this was was a gift, a superpower?
I don't look at it that way. It's just the ability to share a story. So I don't think of myself as a writer. I think we all can be writers. If we can speak, then we can write. There's always a barrier,
Mm,
fear, kind of like starting for people who've never opened
yeah.
the internet, starting internet or starting messaging. There's always a fear, but once you start, it becomes an inertia. And I want actually to teach everyone to express their thoughts, because if they can express them in a positive way, in a beautiful way, we can really learn much more from one another. And if they keep it all inside, it's difficult. I have patients, and I sometimes talk to them, and they have such incredible stories. I'm awestruck, and I lose
Yeah.
the time. And I say to them, you have to write it down. I was like, yeah, my kids tell me, but I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Speak it out on a audio book, record it. Have your kids
Yeah.
write it down, because you have to. So, you know,
Wow.
this is something that I don't think as a gift. Um, I think of it um, as an opportunity, as a responsibility. And so that's how I approach it. You have a job, and you do that, and it may feel like you're calling, and that's great. To me, it's both.
Mm. Well, I look at the diversity of what you've done and the deeper calling, and I think it's a deeper calling to write a children's book, whether, how you were called to do it, it opened that door, but you heard the calling. And I don't know if you know that only 2% of the people that are called to write a book, everybody wants to write a book, only 2% actually do.
I did not
And
know that statistic.
yeah. So, and the fact that and I was reading this and I thought, not only you help children and families embrace kindness and diversity and strengthen this heart muscle, this expansion, this soul connection. But when I was looking and reading your bio, It's your global journey through medicine, athletics, arts, and that your true belief is in the healing comes from hope, love, and helping others. Do you think this came from, you had mentioned your family had all those cues that they had gone through in Africa, and I remember those. I mean, there's so much. I mean, in how you what you had to live through. Do you think that forged your resilience or and who you are today? And were you born knowing that you wanted to go into medicine? Or did you think
That's a beautiful question. As a matter of fact, I always wanted to be an athlete or a teacher or a writer. Never wanted
ah,
to be a doctor. Never, honestly. As a
mm.
matter of fact, I when I saw blood, I would become a little bit faint. But my grandpa, who I respected a lot and love him, he there's a picture of him here with me. I can share it. This is when I received my
Yeah.
medical school degree. Uh,
Oh, I love
so
that
this is
picture.
me, my grandpa, and my grandma. I mean, uh,
Love it.
my other grandma. All three were doctors, and they were doctors in Russia. It's difficult in
Oh,
Russia.
wow, 3 doctors in Russia. So, again, we're talking about another layer of difficulty. That was not an easy time to be a doctor in Russia during
Right.
that
For
the
Jews,
time.
it was impossible to get accepted as a
Yes.
physician. But still they did, and they had to deal with the KGB going after them. My grandpa was almost sent to be killed when Stalin invented the doctor's plot that he claimed that Jewish doctors are trying to poison. I mean, this is an old blood libel from around the world, Germany and other places. They were claiming that Jewish doctor, every fourth child, they would have to kill and whatever other things. I mean, not too
Right.
far away from the blood libels that are being thrown around on Israel and the Jews now, which is very sad.
Right.
Um,
Yes.
anyway, back to that. So they uh, had to deal with a lot of prejudice, and they had to not only survive but thrive and provide a future for their family and their family's families. Because my grandpa's father was um, a singer. He was in the synagogue, and when the Germans came, and he didn't want to leave because he said the Germans in World War One were very nice. When the Germans came to his um, village, they grabbed him by the beard. He had the long, beautiful beard, and they tied it to the horse, and they ran the horse along the streets. And then afterwards, they took off his shoes. He had nice, good shoes, and
Mm.
they made him walk in the snow and dig his own grave and shot him. So
Oh, I'm so sorry.
yeah. So that it's just one personal example. So he had to deal with all that stuff, and the only reason he escaped is because he was a doctor in the army, and he was treating there. He had his own many stories about his life. So yeah, the resilience that they shared with me through their stories obviously left an indelible imprint on my senses. But stories don't make strength. What makes strength is
Mm.
living through this and personal experience. And I can tell you that in my life, I've gone through, I'm 54 now. And you'd think, 54, what is it? Maybe it's not long enough, but I've gone through insane situations, switching from one school to another. I was the only white kid in a black non-school in Africa. I was called Umbakara, which in Igbo, one of the languages spoken in Nigeria, means peeled skin, banana peel. And you can see that because if you wound your skin, if you have a little scratch, it's yellow kind of underneath. Whether you
Right.
have dark skin or white skin, whenever it kind of peels off, there is yellow underneath. So when they saw me, it kind of looks like a banana peel. So,
Right.
and obviously I would be in fights there all the time because I was, the only white boy.
Yeah.
in the school. So I know how it feels on all ends, and I was not feeling bad about it. It's a fight. I didn't actually, as a kid, it's interesting. I never thought of it as a prejudice against my skin color.
Mm.
I thought about it just rite of passage, and I would get my respect through athletics. So I would run very fast. I would play ball hard. Yeah, I'll get bumped up, I'll get beat up,
Yeah.
and I'll beat them up too if they attack me.
Yeah.
But
So you're
it
gonna
was all
achieve there.
right.
I
But
love
I
that.
never,
Yeah.
yeah, but I never came and I said to my mom, they insulted me or stuff like that. This is life. This is kids. And you'd gain the respect. And when I moved to Israel, you'd think, I was among other Jews, they wouldn't fight me. Oh, I fought there too. There was always a bully. Every time I moved to a new school, they test you. Not
Yeah.
because they were different, race than I was. And this is what life is about.
But Eyal, I was thinking, isn't that what life is about? There's bullies everywhere, on social media, in the world, in politics, anywhere we go, we are faced with bullies, and it's how the resilience of how we handle that. We either crumble and back, or we stand up, which I always think we should do, and safely, responsibly. We live in a world now where, I don't think I would stand up quite like I did a decade ago because I don't want to be shot. So I'm very cautious on what I engage, and is it worth it to stand up? Am I fighting for something that matters, or is it, do I just walk away? Because I don't always have to be right. Bullies are, am I going to change it? Am I going to make it better? I always say, does this feel like love? I always put that lens in front of it. Does this feel like love? Am I going to make it better? Can I make a difference here? Am I reacting or responding? Are they going to receive that? And usually it's walk away. Walk away. You know, um
It's true and it's sad at the same time. It's true and
True
sad.
and sad at the same, unless I'm fighting for something bigger, protesting some, I do believe that we have a responsibility to show up, and if we believe in something, we must be an advocate, and we must, we can't back down on that. We must show up and fight for what's right, and speak out. I think
I
we live
love
in a
that.
world now that it's essential. It is essential that we do it, because I'm just looking at the political bullies and what's going on, and not to get into politics, but it's, living in South Africa, what it's like when you lose your voice and there's so many authorities taking over, and the resilience you got from that. I love that you came out of that not feeling smaller than, but larger than. And you stayed the course. Not only did you get a medical degree, you excelled in sports, you wrote a book. Your success story, it's a success story, you know?
You're very kind. I don't think it's a success story. I think it's like you said correctly, a resilience story. And
Well,
just
is it
to-
being resilient a success story that you've achieved, and you've encompassed joy and happiness and love, all the things that I think at the end of life that we're going to measure as success. For me, I measure it a little bit differently these days. I think the rest of the success at the end of our life, we may talk about what we've done, what we've achieved, best-selling book, this, that. Is that really what I'm gonna talk about? I'm
no,
probably gonna talk about the people I've loved, the people
yes,
that loved me,
yes,
the joys, the moments.
exactly,
My
exactly.
my poodle that I loved right now, it just like he just bound. I'm gonna talk about those connections. And I think that everything you shared today, there's a lot of success, but there's a lot of connections, there that brought you here. The connections of your grandparents, and I love the fact that they were all physicians, and in other countries that didn't really acknowledge or honor like it should have been.
Right, right, right. Correct. One little thing is I never lived in South Africa. This was Nigeria.
Oh, Nigeria. I'm sorry.
But
Thank you for the
I was
correction.
a short time in Kenya, Ivory Coast, and other places, but it was mostly in Nigeria.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Even harder. I love that you said stories don't make strength. I wrote that down and put it, whenever I put it in a box, it's like it illuminates to me. Stories don't make strength. It's like I think about the stories that we create in our life. And just because we've been through a lot doesn't necessarily mean there's strength and resilience. I think we have to choose. Our greatest power is the right to choose strength and resilience. And somehow, your book, whether you knew it or not, when you wrote, The King's Race, I think there was a lot of resilience in that. And would you say that mirrored any part of your life that you were emulating to not only the class that you read it to, but your children?
Yes, of course. There's a lot of stuff there that mirrors my life or my take on parts of my life and how I believe we need to treat people and how we need to approach it. Um, when I was in Israel, I went to one of the top schools. It's called the Reali School in Haifa. And that school would take disadvantaged kids from disadvantaged families, divorced families, maybe parents, someone in prison, beating up, stuff like that. And I ended up putting under my wings, although I never thought of it that way, some of those kids
Mm.
who really gravitated to me. And I never looked at it that way. I looked at them, it's like, okay, there's another kid and he's a nice boy, because I always try to look at the good in other people, and they all have good in them, and they brought me to their home and we became friends. And through interaction with other people, they taught me a lot. And I
Mm.
would like to think that I also brought something into that equation to share, to lighten their life, and
Yeah.
maybe show them another way how they can leave that circle that seems to be impossible to exit, and
Right.
build a different future for themselves.
Mm. I love
And
that, and that was my next question. Do you believe that where you've been that people can rewrite their stories and when they come from, um, such tragedy or they don't know a different way and you infiltrated that and you were hoping to have an impact on that. Do you think you did? Do you think you had an impact on and changed their lives?
I was told afterwards by people, and I didn't realize that when I was already in the United States, some people visited from Israel and told me about the impact that I had there. And I was like, really, me? I didn't
Did
feel
you?
it like this. Like, no, of course. We all said that, blah, blah. I was like,
Yeah.
well, it's even more important. When I look at it and I realize that I didn't realize it, that means when I was doing it, I was not doing it in order to have the impact. And that's really the genuine feeling, the genuine work that we need to do. When we do it, we don't do it because we want to change people.
Right.
We want to add positivity into the world, add
Yeah.
positive energy, and people will take that. It will spread like a ripple effect. And
Well, they say our energy field goes 15 and we walk into a room, our energy field is 15 feet in all directions. We so much of us are on, these platforms, Zoom and out. I believe the first thing we see is someone's energy. The first thing we feel
like
is, I always say the soul expands, the heart expands. It doesn't even recognize the attack, and the ego's over here dividing, separating, judging. And I always recognize that, and that energetic connection is what I see first
I
is
love how you say that. I love that because as a physician, half of the treatment is when you enter the room and your smile, reaching out.
uh
One of the complaints that I hear from some patients is like, "Oh my God, he didn't even enter the room. The medical assistant told him everything, and from the door, he said, 'This is what you need. Here's a prescription. Buy.'"
Yeah, never looked up from well, now it's the computer, and being married to a practitioner for many, many years, before he said, "Number 1, people just wanna be heard. Just listen to them." But when the computer started, he said, "Now you walk into the room and you're right, all the data's there and you're down looking at the computer and typing, and it's a whole I don't know, I think medicine has changed too, you know?
I'm trying to bring the medicine back, and that's another.
I can see that. So, where are you at in the United States again?
I'm in Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Brooklyn, New York. So, you know what? Maybe I will come to Brooklyn, New York for dermatology. I think we all should. Everybody, he's in Brooklyn, New York. You want this is the number one complaint. I mean, I hear universally, doctors don't listen. People need, to connect, be heard. And you know what I do notice? To shift and pivot here, because you're a dermatologist. is that there's more skin conditions than ever. People are, and I believe that our emotional state reflects how our body's reacting to stress,
100%,
and our
100%.
skin is the number one, it's gonna show up, and I'm always looking at people's skin, the color, their hydration, are it's, and I bet you do too. Yeah, you can pretty much tell emotionally what's going on by what their skin is telling you. Would that be true? Or
Yes. So when I do my exams, for example, my full skin exam, people are often shocked that I look into the mouth, that I look in their
Mm.
eyes, that I look on their nails, and I can tell a lot of stuff about their health by just looking at their nails, the shape of the nail, the color of the nail. I can tell the kidney, liver disease, iron levels. I can tell vitamin levels based on their mouth. I look at them, and I just a few days ago, I had a person on his tongue. I'm like, it looks like you have a bacterial overgrowth. And it's like, I don't have any, no sore throat. No. Are you drinking coffee because it's a little brown? He said, No, I don't really. No. So I look down deep in his mouth and I see two pustules inside. I'm like, you've got an infection in your mouth. And I had a doctor interviewing from South Carolina. Originally, he's from Saudi Arabia and he wants to do a fellowship in cosmetic surgery. So he applied. And he's like, oh my God, I haven't seen people look at that stuff. And then I had another guy who had skin cancer but was very weird on his back. And I asked him, do you know what it is from? And he's like, started to try. I said, if you figure it out, I guarantee you'll get the fellowship. You don't have to worry about the application. And he couldn't figure it out. And I told him it's arsenic. So the guy, as a
Mm.
young man, was exposed to arsenic. And because of
Mhm.
the arsenic exposure, he had skin cancer, but mostly on his back. So those things, I can be just the doctor who cuts and just reacts. I can be
Yeah.
a doctor who tries, like Sherlock Holmes, to figure out the root of the problem.
Oh, I
Try to
love
see if
that.
I can get rid of the root of the problem and then
I
solve.
bet you're popular. I bet your patients love you. Do I
So, so most thank God love me, and it can be good for everyone. But I try my best to be. So I don't have complaints towards how I treat people. I do my best. I try.
Well, it sounds like you're really compassionate when you show up and you're interested, and I think you even tell me if I'm wrong, you approach medicine like a story too. There's a story to what's going on here, and let's get to the root of it. Let's be a Sherlock Holmes.
I
I
love
love
that.
I love that.
All right, so I'll tell you a quick story about that.
Oh, yeah.
I
I love stories. Tell me a story.
Okay, this is an amazing
Yeah.
story. So I'm a resident at Columbia Presbyterian Department of Dermatology, and I'm always stressed out that I won't have enough information. This is before the internet. So my back, I look like a turtle. I have a huge back, and it's so staffed, tearing at the seams with books. And the dermatology books are heavy, heavy books. We're talking about, I would show you some of those books, but each book is about this. You see me, and this is like this book. So this is a huge, heavy books. Now,
And how many you're carrying? You're carrying those like a
so this is
turtle on
like
your back, all these books.
yeah, so this is about a little bit more than 5 pound books, and I'm carrying about 5 or 6 of them in my backpack. And so my wife used to laugh because she had the little people when I would come visit, knock on the door, she would just sit back. She won't see me. So anyway, so I'm walking a little bit, hunched over with a bag, and I'm called to the emergency room. This is my first case, and I'm like, the doctors and professors in the emergency room are calling me, first year dermatology resident, to solve the problem. They're already board certified doctors and they don't know what am I going to do. So I go over there and I see this kid, and it's a child, and he's got blisters on his body. And I'm speaking to him, and I ask him, so tell me the story. What happened? So he starts telling me the story that he was diagnosed with scabies, and he put the elamide cream, which is a correct thing to do for scabies, and then he washed it off. I said, okay. And what'd you do then? And then I put the cream on, and then I washed off. And I said, when'd you do that? The next day. And then what'd you do? And then the next day I put the cream on and I washed it. So it was simple, but they never really talked to the patient. What he did, he developed irritant dermatitis, irritant reaction, because he applied it too many times. You're supposed to do it once, repeat in a week. He did it every single day. And it's so simple to solve.
And
But
how many of us don't pay attention to directions? We get
right,
anxious and we just think more is better.
exactly. And in this case, like your practitioner that you're married to told you correctly, we don't listen enough. We need sometimes just to sit and to listen, even if we
Yeah.
think we know everything. And I sometimes fall into that trap myself. So
I heard by many, many friends of mine that are dermatologists, and that dermatology is the mystery medicine because there are more things. And every time I go, they're like, "You're a mystery. We have no idea what's going on with you." Would you say that it's difficult to diagnose outside of all the medicine that's out there? That skin is the most difficult to diagnose. What's going on?
I think difficult is a relative term, and I think you have to have, just like with a king's race, you have to push. If you care, you will work hard enough to figure it out. The only thing that I tell some of my patients is, I wish I had enough time to concentrate on your diagnosis because guess what? I'm sure I would solve it. And I'm not saying it because I'm cocky or I'm self-confident. I'm saying it out of true compassion uh,
Devotion.
and sorrow that I
Yeah.
cannot sit on that alone. For example, I have a patent for type 1 diabetes. I'm a dermatologist. Why would
I was just gonna say you have a patent for diabetes
why
and
would
you're
I
a
want
dermatologist.
right,
Where
why
did
would
that come from?
right, why would I want to do that? And the reason I want to do that is because a very, 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 very close friend, to me, he's like a son to me, developed diabetes. And I remember I was sitting on Passover Seder. We were in a big um, evening sitting with a lot of important people. We paid for to sit on those seats, and we get a call that he's in the emergency room. And I look at my wife and I said, "Honey, if it was our kid, I know I would want to go there. I'm getting a little emotional now." And she's like, "We're sitting here. I understand. Fine." So I left the family and I went to the emergency room and I stayed there with him. And then they kind of went around trying to figure things out, a lot of places. And I figured, I think I know how we can do that. And they like, why you? Why you're a dermatologist? Why would you figure it out? Why other people don't understand? Why? And like, look, I don't understand other people, and I don't think about it that way. It's irrelevant. This makes sense, so it has to make sense. And they listen to me, not right away with everything, but slowly. And I don't blame them. At that time, he
Right.
was 14 years old, and was a little delay, but we got him off the insulin, and we got him on the treatment, and we got him other stuff, and he was getting better. And that's how the patent came around. But this is imagination, like Einstein said, is more important than knowledge because knowledge is finite, imagination is infinite. So this is something that
Brand.
if we wanted to figure out what is that mystery in the skin or why are people having other issues, I think the only thing holding us from succeeding to solve it is our own willingness to put in the time, the effort to do that.
That's brilliant. I mean, literally, that's brilliant. The limitation is our own limitations. I love the fact that curiosity and that you allowed yourself to go outside of the lines and research and do and achieve, even though that wasn't in your expertise. You did it anyway. You did it anyway. And you know what? Eyal, I just want to be your best friend. I'm coming to Brooklyn. I don't know if I have any skin problems.
Feeling is mutual. Feeling is mutual.
Yeah. It's like I used to have skin. Well, when I went through menopause like 15 years ago, I had like I had
Wait
my
a second.
adult I
At
had
35, at 35,
I was a little older than that, but something strange happened. My skin, I was blessed with just beautiful skin my whole life, and all of a sudden, I had rosacea with acne. I mean, literally, but I would wake up in the morning and my nose is big enough already. For those of you that are not on YouTube right now, I have a very, very distinguished nose. I love my nose. And people are like, a quick story. Someone said the other day, I love her. And she's a medical student. She says, you know what I love about you the most? And I'm like, gosh, what? She goes, that you just haven't had a nose job. And I'm like, do I need to? It was just like, I love that. But back to
that's
my
okay.
story.
That's
Yeah,
the thing.
I was covered with that, and it took a long time, and I remember a dermatologist injecting. I'd never been to a dermatologist for anything, and I couldn't believe it was so painful, and they were injecting, steroids in my face, and it collapsed my face. I had 2 thumbprints, and I didn't know what to do. 6 months I didn't leave the house. I woke up every morning, it was like nails in my nose, and it was like, it was crazy how it came out of nowhere. It's under control now. Well, it's been a long time, but that was probably the worst year of my life, and I have so much compassion for people that
Good,
struggle.
good, because people don't understand that this is
No.
something that is really difficult for people, and that's the difference. A physician has to have the compassion and the understanding, and not just think, okay, if I do this procedure and this procedure, it will pay me this amount and this amount, so let me just keep a
Yeah.
revolving door and not cure the problem.
Yeah, and it wasn't an easy fix. They're like, "Don't drink any red wine, don't do chocolate, no spicy foods," and I'm like, "I've never drank alcohol in my life. I don't do spicy foods. I don't eat chocolate." Next, what else do I not do, you know? But I think it was a little more complicated than that. I think my
Right.
hormones just shifted and, and I think it's something, and I do love the sun, but now I stay out of the sun with I do hats and, all the things because I don't ever wanna go through that again, I don't want to activate that. Please, because that was a difficult time, but I see people going through it now, and my heart I'm always saying a prayer. I'm always like, "Oh, please help them and bless them and let that heal," because I know that it's painful too. It's not just, you know, and it's your face.
I think
It's how we show up.
I think one of the things that you found that helped you with that is you found the balance. And just like in your book that you write about, is finding that inner peace. And that is something that would help even with cancer. I
Yeah.
tell people. So this is
Oh,
very
you're so
difficult,
right. Eyal, you're
easy to
so
say,
right.
but whatever they mentioned, all those triggers, the only reason they are triggers is because they tickle your immune system, you can say. And
Yeah.
when they aggravate your immune system, like you said, when somebody on the street says or does something that you disagree with, is it worthwhile or it's not
Yeah.
worthwhile? So your body has to be taught, is it worthwhile to overreact to this type of food or to this type of emotion in that way? And when you teach
Right.
yourself that it's not worthwhile, your skin also relaxes and stop overreacting to all those triggers. So you've solved your problem, I think, yourself.
Yeah. What do you think about, I was born on Louise Hay's birthday. She wrote Heal the Body, which she believed and she late in the game, she has Hay House Publishing. Most spiritual books are published. So she's passed since then. But she wrote a book called Heal Your Life. I thought it was here. Oh my gosh. I can't even believe I have it right here. Heal Your Life. And basically what it does is it lets you know like components of something that's wrong. I could put in hay fever. And what she believes is there's an emotional component to hay fever. You may have hay fever, but she believes that it's emotional congestion, fear of the calendar, a belief in persecution, guilt. And then she gives a mantra, a positive, loving mantra that you could say to yourself. What do you, I mean, I believe in Western medicine too. I never think it's, but what do you believe about our psyche is connected to our emotional states, and that may produce and exasperate some of our illnesses.
I believe that belief is a very strong force for good or for bad.
Yeah.
If you can harness it to do good, it will achieve and turn mountains.
Would you believe that spirituality and medicine are kind of like blending more these days than it used to? It used to be science-based, medicine-based, I mean, science-based and spiritual-based. Don't you believe now that there might be a little bit more reckoning, where we're meeting a little bit more in the middle, where it's like
Wishful thinking, but the answer is the answer is until education, until the people who are teachers
Yeah,
are not going to be those practitioners, those rare practitioners
yeah,
who are not egocentric, but
yeah.
are patient centric, are not word
Oh,
centric.
I love that. I
To,
love
to,
that
to,
patient-centered, that and you are right. I'm not claiming all doctors, but they tend to have a linear way of of showing up. I've just experienced it. I was a migrant. I called myself a migrainer. I don't identify with that, but for almost 20 years, I was debilitated by them, hospitalized 10 days a month. But when I started to heal my mindset, it's interesting what happened to my illness that is no longer present in my life.
So yes, which brings me to what I was trying to finalize the thought was that
Yeah.
still our educators are not going to stop rehashing the same mantra that they were taught before and be more open-minded to other things and be more curious and more vulnerable
Yeah.
until they will not just care about what they say, but care about how this will react on the world around us. It starts not in medical school, it starts in kindergarten, it moves to middle school and high school. When I see them, the teachers, teaching um, incorrect history,
Right.
I understand. I was a history major. I understand
Mhm.
this is where we are at fault because we will never learn. We will end up repeating the mistakes of the past. So, for
Right.
example, when you look at the Jews and you wonder how on earth this small little people survived over the years, you know why they survived? I mean, you can take the religious side, but if you're trying to take a non-religious side, is because they took extreme ownership. They took personal responsibility. From the time
Mhm.
Moses said, if something happens, it wasn't because Rome was that strong. It wasn't because Greece was that strong. It's because you guys did not follow God. You guys did not follow his laws. You guys did not unite. You guys did not take care of the poor. Yes, maybe 60% did, but 40% did not. And you are your brother's keepers.
Yeah, and we're not even talking religion here. We're just talking faith, connection, honor,
We're talking,
commitment,
we're talking,
love,
well,
compassion, the things that yeah.
right. We're talking about the pillars of Western civilization that
Yes.
us. And if you break those pillars, then slowly, slowly things crumble. And if you don't have consequences to actions, if you're like, oh, it's okay, then they never learn from it. So,
Right.
as a teacher, if you do not have that, it will progress to you in medical school as well. And in medical school, think about who they hire, who they get. The person gets better grade. So now you're rewarding people to sometimes cheat on exam. There was someone in my medical school who was cheating on exams. He moved into dermatology. He was cheating on exams. The point is, the person is not bad, but he was trained, he was taught that grade identifies him, as
Mhm.
opposed to his desire to be a better person, a better doctor. And that's the problem because who is the better doctor?
Mhm.
The guy who's got the A plus grades. And I can tell you, as a physician, I've seen those doctors. They miss a lot of diagnosis. They're not the best. They're not the doctor that I would want. I'd want a doctor who cares enough to do the research, to think about me, to come back
Right.
with the answer, maybe if he cannot, and to admit if he was wrong. And when we do that, then we are opening our mind to other things. I do believe that even though I'm not a proponent of palm reading, I do believe that a lot of diseases you can read in your palm. I do believe that
Yeah.
breathing is an important factor for healing. And I do believe that they don't teach us in med school about the importance of that. And when I was telling people that acne is caused by stress, or by right before exams because I saw it. I remember in med school, I remember in dermatology residency, they told us no, acne is not caused by milk. Acne is not exacerbated by it. It's not exacerbated by right before the exams. And now they say, yes, it is. So
Right.
all
That
those,
you innately knew. I mean, Dr. Levitt, we if I could clone you, I am not alone in saying with the audience that's listening right now, they're like, we need to clone him. It would the world would be such a better place.
the,
Because I
and
mean, well, I'm in California. Medicine is collapsing, probably in the United States, but definitely in California. It's very, very difficult to find a doctor. If you could even find one, it used to be you would go and you would interview your doctor to see if it was a good fit. Now you're lucky if you get one and whether they look up and whether you connect, there's less of a relationship there, which I think is so important in order to know someone's life and how and why they're showing up sick and why do they have these symptoms and it's there just needs to be more of you.
Thank you, but the answer to that is actually no. Yeah, the healthiest society is a society that is versatile. What we need to make sure that passes through is the um, approach to caring, and it is something that we don't have to go too far. If we go to our basic Western values, our civilization, we understand that it is based on that. The desire, if you see someone in need, you help him. How many times in a train station do I see a pregnant woman and nobody stands to give her a seat? Where did we go wrong? We went wrong with the family. In Israel, when we go there, someone will not stand to a pregnant woman. Everybody will tell him, "Hello, kid, don't you see this lady is pregnant?" Or an older lady. Stand up, offer her the seat. She doesn't want a seat, that's fine, but you still offer her that seat. This is where it starts, with little things like that. An older lady passing with bags. Pay attention. Do you need some help to carry the bags? No, you don't want money for it, for a tip for carrying. Just to do it, please. I want to give you something. And that will change the way we care for patients also. And that will change, that will change everything. But
So
when
it starts
we
with
lie
each
to
one of
ourselves,
us.
but when we lie to ourselves, we say, oh, we're good because we posted something on Instagram that talks about someone else who talked about someone else who was in need. So we now feel we did our job. What is that?
Yeah.
You can do your job.
I love that. What is that? I love that you just highlighted that. This is such an illuminating conversation. Just because, just launching a book, I didn't have expectations or attachment. I always say married to the process, divorce the outcome. But in my heart, I might have thought that women who scream, "I support women," would have supported me more. And this isn't shaming them or making it right or wrong, but my heart was a little wounded. But you know what? I detached from that, and then people that I didn't anticipate. I think that when we unplug from that story, it allowed other people to show up. And I always say karmically, we don't ever wish anyone karmically bad or attach that, because it balances out. If we continue to show up, and my story, I was feeling a little sorry for myself for a second. I'm like, but I've supported and I've loved, but I don't expect anything out of it. I'm not like having this internal conversation.
I'm
And
giving
then
you a high five over there, virtual.
yeah, and then all of a sudden it shows up somewhere else and I'm like, "That's right. I wasn't attached." And it comes back to us in unexpected ways. And we never know. I always tell people, you just don't know when that will happen, and they're like, "When? When is that abundance gonna happen?" And I'm like, "We just have to keep showing up and we have to keep doing the right thing and we have to stay in that soul's integrity of who we are." And but it's crazy that the internal struggle was there. So I love that you illuminated that. We just don't post something out there and think it's going to fix everything. We have to take the action and we have to do the thing,
And we have to
even
have
when
the
we don't want
trust.
to.
And we have to have the trust that it will come back, like you said, the
Yes.
karma. There's a
Yes.
beautiful story about that. It's actually in the Bible. The Jews, when they were in the desert, they received every morning a present from God, food. It's called the manna.
Mhm.
And they were not allowed to hoard it. They were only had, and that's from that word manna is the Hebrew word of every time you go for a meal, you get a manna. This is your portion of meal. That's the amount.
Mhm.
Amounts in Hebrew you'd say that. So some people were like, no, I'm gonna hoard. What if tomorrow I won't have any? And they hoarded the extra and it spoiled.
Yeah.
Except on a Friday, because Saturday they're not supposed to work, they were allowed to take two portions and it won't spoil. And miraculously, it didn't spoil. So the thing that he was teaching them, you can imagine this was a Pavlovian experiment for them, that you have to trust in God. You do your part, and I'll do my part. You may not understand how it works. It may make absolutely no sense to you, but you do good, and good will come back to you. And this is what we call karma. Whether you say that God is giving it to you,
Yeah.
whether it is Jesus, whether it's Allah, whether it is, Elohim,
Right.
the point is do good. Don't think about the return. And
Yeah.
maybe not to you directly, maybe to your children, maybe to your
Don't think of the
grandchildren.
return. It will
It will
come. It will
return.
come somewhere that
And if
can
you do
yeah.
bad, the same thing will happen. the same thing will happen. It will
Oh,
happen
yes.
to your children. Maybe you will think, oh, I cheated the system. I got so, you know, rich. What will happen to your children?
Yeah.
To your children's children?
Yeah.
That's the goal. And in life, you said, what is really important? Is it that we succeed, we publish a bestseller? No.
Yeah.
In life, what's important is our fruits. Like any fruit, I tell my kids, you think about the fruit. What is its goal in life? For you to want to eat it, for it to be smelling good, tasting good. Why? Because if you'll pluck it and you'll eat it, the seeds will fall off. And if the seeds will fall off, they will get maybe internalized in you, they'll get fertilized, and there'll be more of it. And that's really our goal, to spread those seeds of love into the world and make it a better, beautiful place.
I love that. We talked about just about everything: generational karma, dermatology, your King's Law. I could stay on here for another hour. I literally could. Okay, where can people find your book? Where can they find you? I know you're in Brooklyn. We're all gonna stalk you in Brooklyn. We're all gonna make appointments with you. Do you do dermatology online? Is that a thing yet?
Yes, I do have some patients who last interesting story about karma. Last interesting story.
Oh,
So
I love that.
I,
I love your storytelling. Yeah, next time we're gonna have you. We're just gonna have you back, and it's gonna be stories with Dr. Eli Levitt, and we're going all in with the stories. Yeah.
okay, so I guess I'll hold it for next time.
No, I want to hear it this time.
Oh, you want to hear?
No.
Okay, so I'm in Nevada. We're taking my family. We're looking for a car. For some reason, I did book the car, but they say no, it's not available here. Well, I can be upset or I can move to another line. So I moved to another line, and then I'm standing over there, and I strike a conversation with this lady that we both apparently were reserved a car, but both of us were sent out of that line to get into this line, and apparently she has an issue with her hearing. And she came here to find a doctor from another place where she was at. And she starts talking about the problem and nobody able to solve it. And I said, well, if you need help, this is what I think you have. This is what I think you can do. I end up treating her and sending her medication from where I am at, and it's helping her. And she ends up just recently asking me to help her sister who has another issue. And she was just mentioning the Bible and mentioning where in the Bible it's kind of like this is karma. Why did I not get the opportunity to have my car where it was reserved? I could be upset at them. I could spend time arguing with them. No, I moved to the other line where they recommend me because God wanted me to be there so I can meet that lady, so I can help her. And this is really what life is about. So you have to have trust that God will not test us if we can't handle it, or maybe something worse could have happened if this did not prevent us. Maybe if I would have taken that car, I would have gotten into a car accident, or it would have broken in the middle of the road. Something else would have happened. So many ifs. So if you do good, just trust that good somehow will return back.
Eyal, I believe this 1000%. I'm living proof of that, being born a seer and knowing things. I don't always see that in my own life, but I see it in others. But I just allow it to ask better questions now because I don't want to interfere with God's work. But I will tell you, there was a time when I was at a red light and I'm sitting there and I've got a car behind me. It's a red light, it goes green, and I just can't move. And
Wow.
I listened to this. I will not put my foot on the gas. And I'm like, what is going on? And I'm even questioning myself. And I'm like, just do it. And I'm like, mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. And the car behind me's honking. And then he's getting out of his big truck. And I'm looking to lock, and I just bought my Range Rover, and I'm looking for the lock, and I can't find the lock because I think he's gonna pull me out of my car because he's mad. I can see him walking up.
Right.
And sure enough, just by the time he gets to my car, because I'm there for maybe 40 seconds, which is a long time on a light, he's
Long time.
mad. And I'm in a freeway entrance, and all of a sudden a car goes by at about 80 miles an hour. We both would have been killed. I mean, one of us would have been smacked.
Sure.
And someone ran a red light. And I didn't know that was gonna happen, but my intuitive nature was, don't make a move. And I listen to that now. I listen to that because you're right.
Oh,
I could
important.
Anything could happen. We are re-guided when they say when we go back in the house because we forgot something.
Oh my God.
It's to prevent something from happening. And we just take a moment and say, God bless everyone's soul. And then we move on again. I do that every time. God bless everyone's soul. Boom. And I'm moving again. But yeah, I'm redirected.
I have another book. It's called A Lost Art.
Oh, you have another book. It's called A Lost Heart?
A Lost Art.
Oh, A Lost Art. Okay.
a lost art, and it's stories from my personal practice. And one of the stories shares that exact information where I have this sense and I don't listen to it, and what happens to me afterwards. It's a wild story. It's a wild story.
Oh, I love that even more because, the first half of my life, I second guessed and didn't listen to anything. I just couldn't believe actually that things were as dark as they were. So I second guessed because I wanted everything to be so much better. And I was such a people pleaser. And then when I started understanding that there was a deep gift of knowing, and I honored that, and I honored God and this gift, and that I could still be who I was, and I wasn't this weird woo woo, whomever it was I thought I was, and just honored every bit of that, it's amazing how things just lined up. But I second guessed most of my life. Like, I can't believe that to be true. I couldn't possibly have that information. So I would flip it, and I made we could call them mistakes, but I'm just going to say I was rerouted a lot. And it gave me a plethora of an enormous toolbox of learned knowledge that I now pay forward. And if I didn't do that, I probably would recognize so much of the world like, "Oh, I get that. Oh, I know what you're doing." Because there's this deep trust in knowing, and I think I love that you're so guided by your heart energy, and you're so eh, and you're so, your boundaries of your ego coming in and those parameters, it's a beautiful balance, and it's very difficult for a lot of people. And
God,
again, I could
God,
talk to you, yeah,
God pushed
forever.
me. God taught me, and every night before I go to sleep, I ask Him to keep me humble, and He puts
Yeah.
my nose in the earth many times.
I love that. Switch my nose in it.
I remember my place. And you're
Gosh, from medicine to storytelling to back again. How can people find your book? Is it available on Amazon? Where can they find you? I know they're gonna wanna follow you. Are you in social media? Where do you hang out when you in your
where I hang out.
free
I
time?
hang out. I run every morning on the boardwalk, and people meet me over there. Some of them join me on the runs. I ran with American flag and an Israeli flag because I think that it's important for us to not be afraid to express our political in a respectable manner, our views and our support. And
Yes.
this is the land of the free and the brave. And if we cannot do that here, then it's time to look for another place. Um, the place they can find me is on Instagram at Levit Dermatology, um, Levit with one T, and the other one where I do more breathing exercise, other stuff is my first and last name, MD, also Instagram at Eyal Levit MD. And obviously, Brooklyn, New York, they can just Google my name. They'll find all the necessary information where to find me. The book should be out on November 2nd. I am going through the editorial sections there, but
Yeah.
because I'm working on longevity now, I'm part of the X Prize. If people have heard about the X Prize, there is a competition to reverse the age by 20 years, and I have my hat in the competition, and I have already shown that I can reverse the age myself. I already proved it 4 years ago. I reversed my age by 4 years, so we now looking to reverse it by 10 to 20 years.
Okay, I'm in line. Okay, I wanna be like a what do they call
I
that?
think like
Not a sponsor, a patient, a volunteer, a volunteer. I'm gonna be a volunteer. I wanna be like reverse 10 years.
sounds good. That's
I
that's not a problem.
I'm game.
That's not a problem. We'll be
Well,
happy to have you on.
well, we're going to actually have all your information for everyone listening. I will make sure all his links, all his connections are there. Make sure to give him a follow. You're fascinating. You're lovely. I've enjoyed this conversation so much.
And
It's like
to my
I
followers, can you tell them where to find you, how to follow you, Dana?
oh gosh, probably Instagram, The Real Dana Grant, danagrant.com. It's really simple. Just my name, danagrant.com. They can find me there. They can find, and I have a lot of gratitude books, a lot of freebie things they can have access to. My book will be available everywhere. It's just rolled out. It's on Amazon. By next week, it'll be in all the places,
Everywhere.
all the places, all those
Love it.
bookstores. And
Love it.
yeah, but I love, yeah, it's the real Dana Grant on Instagram, and I will always, always answer and support anyone that reaches out. I will do that myself, and
I do that too. I do myself. I
it's
reply.
important to me. Yeah,
Bro.
might take me a couple of days, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Dr. Eyal,
And it
you
was an
know,
honor and a pleasure. Thank you.
Levit, you've been amazing. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on the Dana Grant Show today. Where it's so interesting because we're ending. You can't see this, but we're ending at 1:11:11. It's that's how long. I'm looking at the clock right now, and I'm like, well, what a surprise that is. Not so guided, so fabulous. So I'm just so great to connect with you. You
Same here. Thank
just
you.
love
God
this
bless you.
conversation.
Enjoy your trip. I'm
Thank
looking
you.
forward to your posts about your trip. Maybe
Yeah,
I'll
oh, yeah,
put my
yeah,
mind
and
on
that'll be on Instagram. I'm gonna carry my book around and it's going to walk the Camino with me. We're gonna have a lot of
it.
adventures.
Amazing.
All
Enjoy.
right, thank
Thank
you
you so
everyone for
much.
joining us, and until next time.